Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Unnamed Podcast, or I should say, yet to be named podcast.
Indeed,
with
yes.
Claude and Justin. Many of you who are listening, maybe, know us from the Lost Lowdown, the world's biggest Lost podcast site.
You may remember us from such podcasts as...
Yes, exactly. I remember listening to you on the Lost Lowdown, right? Right. No, we're world famous. I think actually we have a meeting with the Queen of England next week because she likes the Lost Lowdown, and she wanted to talk to us about her theories on Lost, which somehow include her having sex with Sawyer. I don't know what that means. But no.
She called us, I believe she said we were charming, but
quite unlike your
charming.
destiny.
Thank you.
Yeah. So basically the idea behind this podcast, we're the same people.
We didn't become new people.
We didn't become new people, as somehow I thought or I implied. But we got so addicted to podcasting, and we sort of figured that because the idea behind the Lost Lowdown was that Justin and I would call each other because he lives in New York, I live in California / Texas, depending on
various places.
Yeah, various places. And when Lost would come on, we'd watch it, and then we'd talk to each other on the phone for hours about it, and come up with our theories, and argue and banter, and try to make jokes. And we were like, man, we should be podcasting, because, we don't need to give the backstory about every single thing. The fact that where we got the idea from, Lost Casts.
Well, I guess, yeah, for me, there was a point where I was getting so into the show, I was reading the forums, and,
it was sickening.
And I was going, and then eventually it got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I have to listen to a fan-created podcast, and it just so happened the first one I heard about, it's a pretty popular one, I guess, was Lost Cast, and I listened to it, and I loved the feeling of these guys who just know each other, sitting around and talking about Lost. It just seemed like a lot of fun to do, and I thought that what we do when we talk about it is had its own unique thing that they didn't do, and it would be good to do it ourselves. So that's pretty much it was brought up, and eventually we decided to do it, and we figured out how to make it work and all that.
And then that's when we got in contact with Dick Clark. We pitched the idea to him, and he said, "Yeah, let's do it," because I'm not getting any younger, and so we said, "Okay, Dick, you're not getting any younger. We aren't either. Let's do a podcast." So Dick Clark funded the first podcast. He gave us 50 cents, of course, which was tax deductible, so I think we got about 35 cents. And
of course, he took 10% off the top.
And then he took 10%, so we really got about 30 cents. And we went and bought some microphones. And that's a horrible, strange, long joke that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going with that.
Apparently nowhere. So anyway,
speaking of Dick Clark, he was in bad shape on the New Year's Rockin' Eve this
year.
Dude,
I think, I always thought he was a robot. I mean, how else can he still be alive? Or I guess they say he's an android, to be politically correct.
Please.
And I think he just needs a tune-up. Yeah, I think so. So anyway, back to
you heard it here first.
Back to whatever this podcast is going to be called. We decided, we have a lot of fun podcasting. We talk about random stuff anyway, which is what we did, So the point was, Lost Lowdown was created because we were already having these conversations. It's not like, hey, we should get together and talk about Lost. It was like we were already getting on the phone and talking for hours about Lost and theories and crap. So we're like, why don't we
didn't have to force ourselves
Didn't have to force it. So we were just, hey, let's just record it. So that's how Lost Lowdown came about at the lostlowdown.blogspot.com.
We did a little more, when we're going to do a podcast, we take notes and we try we make it a little more structured than our conversations were, but it still has that feeling, I think.
Exactly. We do put some effort into coming up with what we're going to talk about and sort of having a general outline of what we're going to talk about. Unlike this podcast, which is just really banned. So anyway, we decided, hey, since even though we're going to be recording a podcast about Lost season 1 and season 2 of the season 2 episodes we didn't podcast about before. Even though we're going to be doing that over the summer, we were like, hey, why don't we just do another podcast series about, just recording our normal conversations, because I think they're interesting.
Yeah, we like to believe they would be fun to listen to.
Yeah, because we between you and I, we come up with the most ridiculous things to say and ridiculous things to talk about, and somehow I think that's interesting. Maybe it's just me. And, well, I guess it's just me and you, because you think that too.
Well,
but so anyway, that's what we're doing with this podcast that you're listening to now. The first thing we need to do is come up with the name. We were going to come up with the name before we started podcasting, but we were like, hey, it might be good podcasting material, so people can be there at the ground floor when we come up with the name for this yet to be titled podcast. Or hey, what if we just call it Yet to Be Titled?
Ooh, look at that! It's postmodern.
It's postmodern, like Yet to Be Titled with Claude and Justin.
I like that. It's on the last lowdown we had that with our closing line thing. We didn't know what that was. We podcasted about it, and then we did it, and now everybody can see where it came from.
Exactly, they're there with us, and that's what we like to do, is to have the people walk with us hand in hand towards a better future and a brighter tomorrow. I do like Yet to Be Titled with Claude and Justin, but I think we can come up. But to me, it's like it's only good because it's postmodern.
Right.
It's like, it's okay, and it has some brownie points because it's sort of clever or whatever, or it tries to be clever, or too clever by half. Roger Ebert. But
gotta love that expression.
What else could we do? I was thinking something crazy like Voices from the Edge of the Universe. How about that?
Okay.
Or I wanted something like a great title.
It sounds a little too sci-fi or something. I don't know.
Yeah. How about
it sounds like a 50s sci-fi movie.
Oh, I bet it's good.
Voices from the Edge of the Universe.
Starring, I don't know who's going to star in it. Marilyn Monroe.
Featuring Bela Lugosi.
Oh, Rod Steiger. Oh, man. Anyway, so how about, what were some of your ideas, Mr. Idea Man?
Am I Idea Man now?
You are now.
Oh.
I'm waiting.
Wait, what's your question?
What are some of your ideas?
What did you want for the idea?
You probably want something like Fermat's Last Theorem with Claude and Justin.
Well, now that you mention it,
Euler series.
For a free-form show, it's really hard. It's hard for me to come up with something that really fits.
Well, it reminds me of Seinfeld. Seinfeld was sort of this show about nothing, although it was about something, but it was about nothing. And he just used his last name, so maybe it should be like some conflagration of our last name.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Huh?
Never mind.
Seinfeld. Like, should we say our last names? Oh no, I feel scared. Are we gonna get? Stalked?
We can't. Ooh, we can't give away our last names because if someone tracks me down,
you would just ignore them and not talk to them, right?
I can't be held responsible for what I say on these silly things.
Well, what's really bad is that anyone who clicks on when you go to the Lost Lowdown, or I guess this site too, once the site gets up, once we find out a name, you click about me or whatever. I mean, you click on my name, Claude, you're gonna get my other blog with my full name on it. So if anybody wants to know who I am, that's a pretty easy way to do it.
But you'll never find me.
Ha 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 ha! Oh wait, a laugh for you. Sorry, you do your laugh since you said it.
Maha ha.
Mwahaha. Okay, this is almost as bad as that. This is almost as bad as that like little kid rapping. You remember that little kid? Like he's supposed to be talking about Lost. That weird podcast.
Fuck yeah! Oh. All right, I got something to say now.
Oh, cool.
So we just did a Lost Lowdown update podcast.
Yeah.
And at the end there, I pretended to pretend to. Oh God.
This is interesting. So you're gonna give us a little behind the scenes on the recording of Lost Lowdown.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
At the end there, yeah, exactly. It seemed like I was about to bring up a subject, and then I said, "Oh, I got nothing." And I'm here to tell you now that was a lie. I did have something to say.
I got to tell you, I really I was fooled, or I thought I was fooled, because I really thought you had something to say, and then you said you didn't. So I was like, "Oh wow, you tricked me, you bastard."
I think it's because when I started, I really did, and so it came across as very sincere because it was originally. And then I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'll just abandon it now.
Well, I think everyone's waiting to hear what the fuck you had to say.
So I think it's been built up too much. It's not that great, which is the reason I didn't say it in the first place.
That's even been more built up.
Okay, but what I was going to say was based on our biggest fan at the Lost Lowdown is Vicky H.
Vicky who?
Yeah. And she mentioned something about the generally speaking Lost podcast.
Yeah,
I think is that
something
right? Generally
like,
speaking,
I thought it was like three words.
I wanted to call it like Simply Amazing, but now I think it's
maybe we should call our podcast Simply Amazing.
I think it's generally speaking.
Yeah.
I think that's so. I went to download it because I'd never heard it, and she likes our podcast, so I'm like, well, maybe their podcast is like ours.
Uh-oh.
And well, I let's just say I didn't really like it, but as basically it is two people talking. It's this guy and this woman, and I really can't do justice to it. If you want to go listen to the first half of the podcast about the finale, just like the first 10 minutes, I thought were sort of hilarious. It seemed like a sketch of a bad radio show. In the first part of it, they're obviously reading from the script, and it just sounds so awful. It's welcome to Generally Speaking. Today we will discuss the following topics. Topic number 1. What is Michael doing?
Are they trying to be funny by doing that, or is that just the way they're doing it?
I don't think so. And the other thing is, the woman, she sounds half drunk, and she reminds me, I don't know, walk with me on this reference. She reminds me of a character that what's her name on Mr. Show?
The blonde girl,
the surly one. Yeah, the one who introduced Bob and David for the first 2 seasons.
Yeah,
what's
I don't
her
know
name?
Who that was. Megan?
Here's Bob and David.
Megan or something? Was it Megan?
Mary Lynn.
Mary Lynn. I was close.
Mary Lynn. Yeah, it seemed like a character she would play because she's sort of like.
Oh God.
I always thought it was the magnet, but now I'm right. And it was almost. It was so ridiculous, and this guy is sort of this uber straight man. It sounds so ridiculous, and I don't think they're trying to be funny either. I think it's just a sincere podcast, and they're just ridiculous people or whatever. And they also have this sponsor, the company that I guess that's making these Lost action figures.
Mattel?
No.
Oh, okay, that's a joke.
I forgot. And so they did this commercial in the first second.
That's weird.
And it was so awful. I couldn't listen to it. It was oh man. I did laugh at it, but I don't think it was intentional.
So do you think we like listeners think we're as ridiculous as those people? Is that your point? That we might be? I mean, I'm sure there's people who listen to us and like, these guys are a bunch of tools.
Well, oh wait, there was one.
There was one in particular who said that. And it's like, so I guess you're like that guy. I mean, you think those
Yeah.
people are sort of Tool-esque and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Well, the woman is just sort of like really ridiculous. I mean, she just sort of says that. I remember she said like, when Charlie walked out of the forest, I said, she loves him.
yikes.
What? What are you talking about? I called it. I knew they were gonna kiss.
Aww.
And she doesn't sound coherent. She sort of slurs her words. It's
Wow, you're really dishing the dirt on these people, man.
I'm sorry. I just and the scripted part was too much for me because I mean you didn't hear this also, but there was one point where we were trying to do the intro to the Lost Lowdown, and I cannot do scripted material
You can't.
because I sound robotic, just like that guy did. Maybe that's why I laughed about it. I'm seeing what I do in them,
Yeah.
and so it just appeals to me. But you got to hear the first like part. It doesn't even sound remotely spontaneous.
Aww.
So anyway, go listen to him.
All right. Well, that's interesting, but I think we need to figure out a name for our for this
Right.
podcast.
Sorry, that was a bit of a detour, but that's what I was going to bring up.
I'm
on
so
the
glad
Lost
you
Lowdown.
didn't bring that up because that was long, and
Sorry.
we were trying to. I mean, no, I'm just saying you did good because that we were trying to make that a really quick update, and that would have been sort of off topic too.
Right. That's exactly the reason
Cool. Well,
I abandoned it.
For once, you actually made a decision that was beneficial.
Hey, what do they say? A stopped clock is right twice a day.
Ooh, I've always liked that expression because I like clocks, so that's really the only reason I like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all right then.
All right, then. I wonder if
So-
people do you think people know when we're joking?
Because
Because sometimes I feel the need to say, "Oh, I'm just kidding," or because like that little joke I just said about clocks. Like I was very deadpan, and
Yeah.
a transcript of that might make it seem like I really believe that. But
To tell you the truth, I believe that you did really like clocks.
see, and that's the thing. I was joking.
Hmm.
I mean, I do like clocks, but not in any sort of way that
Well,
that would
see,
be.
now you're really throwing me for a loop.
Well, I mean,
'cause
I don't like them any more than the next person. I mean, hopefully, they do tell the time when they're accurate. No, but
Indeed.
really, I do like that expression though.
Oh, I love it. The first time I read it, I thought, "Wow, it's so apt for certain things."
Okay, what does it mean though? What that means that
Basically,
you can do something. Oh, what? Just tell me.
in my opinion, what it means or my take on it is that something can be like completely off or screwed up or whatever, and it'll probably just be randomly good or correct like a couple times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean that's what I was saying in my case. If I throw enough shit, eventually something will be good.
Yeah.
So that's my take on what it means.
Cool. Well, I agree because that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you heard it here first on Voices
Oh,
from the Beyond.
Hey,
Oh,
speaking of stuff, I know what it means. I just want to bring up. Maybe this is better for the Lost Lowdown, but
Save
Live
it,
Together,
save it,
Die
save
Alone.
it, save it, save it. I think you should save
All
it.
right.
Let's not make this into about the Lost Lowdown because then it's the Lost Lowdown Part 2.
Yeah, I should have brought that up. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Oh well.
No, just remember to bring it up in podcast number 5.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll make a note. Here I go.
Wow, you have a loud keyboard.
Well, I didn't want to actually press the keyboard because I didn't want to mess up the recording software.
You're recording?
Oh no! This is just a regular conversation. right?
Yeah, that the CIA tapped into. And by CIA, I mean NSA.
Right. CIA. Ha.
Ha. Anyway, Voices from the Beyond, I guess, has been nixed.
No,
Yeah.
you said voices from the edge of the universe or something.
Oh.
It wasn't Voices from the Beyond.
What is-
Although that one is also kind of
I'm like, is it any better? I don't think it is.
yeah. That one seems more like I don't know, like religious or spiritual or
Oh.
something.
How about
And I heard a voice from the beyond, and it called unto me,
Why is it British?
Thou musteth podcast.
It's like Anglican.
Sorry.
How about oh, you were gonna throw out some ideas because you're Mr. Idea Man.
Oh, right. Right. I need a theme song. Idea man. He always comes up with ideas. How about the talking show?
The talking show? How about Mr. Talk with Claude and Justin?
Mr.
Because or Mr. Podcast, because they were like Mr. Show and it was a
Right.
show, so we could be like Mr. Podcast.
Mr. Podcast?
That's
Yeah,
kind of.
I mean, it'd be kind of a rip-off.
Oh
but,
please! They ripped off Mr. Show from Mr. Radio Show back in the 20s.
That was when radio was good.
Zing! Say goodnight, Gracie. Good night, Gracie.
Take my wife, please.
Please, she's fat.
And here comes Clark Gable.
Oh, strutting with Norma Desmond. Wait, that was a character.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know. Leave it to
Oh
Clark.
dear.
Okay. We should be making notes of this. I like Mr. Podcast because you know
All right,
what?
good
What's good
enough.
about that is it's sort of magnanimous. Totally wrong word.
Yeah, I was gonna say it if you didn't.
So Mr. Podcast, it's cool because it's sort of strange. It doesn't really mean sort of anything, and it's a reference to Mr. Show, which I think people
With
who
Bob and David.
get it will enjoy that.
And yeah, I like Mr. Show.
What about Mr. and Mr. Podcast? Does that even just make it worse?
What about what? What did you say?
Mr. and Mr. Podcast.
Mr. and Mr. Podcast.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say
Ugh.
Mr. and Mrs., but you're not a woman anymore, so.
Oh well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Not anymore.
Which implies that at some point you were a woman.
Those days are
You see
over.
what
Yeah,
you see what I
thank
did
you.
there?
Take us inside the joke, please.
Yeah, let me take you to the center of that joke. What I implied with that statement. No, kidding. See what I did there? So, Mr. Podcast. What was the other one we thought was okay? The one that was like postmodern.
Oh, that was it was like not titled yet. Or
Oh,
as
not yet.
unnamed,
Not
or
yet titled.
Not yet name. Not yet title. I don't remember exactly now.
How about enlarge to show detail?
Oh, sorry guys, we don't think you get that.
No one's gonna get
When
that.
I say we, I mean me.
Yeah. How about
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go in that route, how about listener supported?
That's good though. You know, I've always liked that title. Always liked that title.
Oh, I like it, but no.
How about Mr. Not Yet title listener supported launch or so detail? Is that a little long?
Well, no, that's just overkill.
That's that's a little overkill. Okay. Should we keep okay, this is already getting long and this is just like the intro of the podcast. Should we decide on one of those two or should we keep thinking?
What about Primecast?
Fine, don't answer my question. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was your question?
What about Primecast? Did you say Primecast?
Yeah.
What? You trying to
It's
put
a
math? You trying to
prime-
put math shit in there?
It's a,
The imaginary number cast.
it's a little mathy, but I thought well also prime has multiple meanings, and I thought
I don't like it though.
Let's drop it now.
No,
Before I
I hate it.
really bad.
How about
What was your
something
question?
like in the Minds of Madness?
God.
I mean, I want something that like you hear it and you sort of know that what you're going to get from this podcast is just sort of random conversation, almost like you're eavesdropping.
How about the Eighth Gate?
The Eighth Gate? Oh, well, that's no good because Johnny Depp found the eighth gate.
Oh, right.
How about the
Yeah, I
10th
guess that kinda
gate?
ruins it. Oh, okay. The 10th gate.
Or,
I don't know why I went lower.
I don't know. How about
Uh,
Barton Podcast?
Are you ever gonna? Now, see, I like that one.
Yeah, that one's good. I like that.
Uh,
Or,
it's a podcast for the common man.
it is. I want to make a podcast for the common man. What's in the box? I think it's a head. What kind of voice is that? I don't even know. I don't know what that was. Guess that was Barton.
Yeah, it didn't really sound like him, but I'll take it.
How about, what's the one with Jeff Bridges?
We'll show you the life of the.
I'll show you the life of the podcast. Oh, John
I think
Goodman.
there's like two people out there who know what we're talking
What's
about.
the one with what's the big one everybody loves with the dude? Big
the big
Lebowski.
podcasty.
Big podcasty. That's horrible. That's horrible.
I almost like that.
Big podcasty. That reminds me
I
of
think
like
The Big Lebowski is a
Bukowski though,
fine film.
like Podkowski.
Oh yeah, or Hank. How about Hank Podcasty?
Hank Podkowski. But then we have to
Yeah.
like. It seems like our podcast would have to be about like him or his theories or his stuff.
No.
No, and that's there lies the fun. I'm
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
just-
really liking Mr. Podcast.
Well. Okay.
I mean, what else do we have?
Well, we have that postmodern one that we don't remember the name anymore.
Not yet titled.
Um,
How about
is that what it was?
how about like stuff? Or like
stuff?
like banter, like random banter.
How about the cook, the thief, his wife, and her podcast?
Ooh, that one's good. I'd go for that, but it's long.
It is long. I'm looking at my movie collection.
How about we could do the podcast, but that's not really that relevant to like The Shining.
No, I think Mr. Podcast is better than the podcast.
Yeah.
Well,
the podcast is a really bad reference to The Shining.
oh, that was what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, then it should be like
The Shinecast.
podcasting, or that too. The Shinecast. That's probably better.
The podcasting. You just all kinds of fucked it up. How about
I tried.
how about Ed the Podcast with Claude and Justin?
How about what?
Ed the Podcast. Or no, Claude and Justin at the podcast.
Oh! It's and the podcast.
It's at the podcast. No one's gonna.
Now we have to redo it because of what you did.
No, Roger. We're gonna redo it because of what you did.
Oh God.
You see that, Gene? You see that, Gene? That's why nobody likes you. God. For those of us who are wondering what we're talking about, a while ago we found this really funny like outtake of Siskel and Ebert, the notorious film critics.
It looked to be from the 80s,
Yeah,
I'd say.
they were trying to record a promo for their show. Siskel and Ebert at the movies or at the movies, whatever it really is. And
I think
it was.
it was and the movies.
I think it's and the movies. And it was really funny because, on screen they did have this sort of, they had good chemistry, but it was every now and then they would sort of argue and disagree and be like, okay, Ebert, whatever, I'll fuck your car up later. I'm going to key the
Right.
shit out of your car after this episode.
The
And
arguments would get fairly heated at times,
Yeah.
where it's like, guys, this is a movie.
yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
movie. But this outtake was really funny because they were so petty and so mean and vindictive to each other. Like, what we were referencing was the fact that, like, they're sitting there trying to record, and, like, I think it was Siskel who goes, first Ebert said something wrong and they had to start over. And then, right? And then, and then Siskel, they were recording and Siskel goes,
No. I think Siskel fucked up first. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
Ebert sort of
And then-
got pissed at him. Then Ebert fucked it up. And then, there was that part where, try to sound more excited, Gene. Try to sound less excited,
Oh, I
Roger.
love that. Oh my god, that was so funny. But yeah, like Siskel messes up, right? No, Ebert messes up. Who messed up first?
No, I think Siskel messed up first, and then Ebert messed up, and that's when Siskel started throwing in that thing about now we're doing it because of what you did.
Yeah,
because
exactly. Because
he was responding to the fact that he messed up the first time.
yeah, Siskel messes up, and then he says at the movies instead of and the movies, and then Ebert's like, now we have to start over because of what you did. It was so petty and ridiculous and funny and apparently worthy to talk about on Yet to Be Titled with Claude and Justin.
I think I think it's on like YouTube or something. If you,
I think the birth of like Jesus is on YouTube. Like everything is on YouTube, man. Jeez.
Yeah. So if you do like a Siskel and Ebert maybe fighting or something like that search, you should be able to find it. It's a real treat to watch, I'd say, especially if you enjoy the two of them, which I did certainly when they were both still alive.
I'd like to think everyone does. So what are you thinking? I'm thinking Mr. Podcast.
The only thing I don't like about Mr. Podcast is the fact that it's not original, but I do like the name. So
I think what one of the reasons I like it is because it's an homage to Mr. Show.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's fine. Sure.
If you got better, I mean, Not Yet Titled, to me, just isn't that interesting.
Yeah. Fuck that. I don't even like it anymore.
See, that's the thing. Every time I think about Mr. Podcast, I like it as much as when we first thought of that. But Not Yet Titled, to me, I don't like it. I mean, I liked it right when we first thought of it. Now I'm like, ugh, God, that's horrible.
Yeah, I already. It seems very smirky and too clever by half.
By half, I would say it's too clever by a third, but that's just me.
Well, I'm the expert here, so.
You're the expert on fractions. Sorry, forgot you majored in that in fraction school.
I happen to specialize in fractions. Excuse me.
I like Mr. Podcast. It doesn't seem like it's wearing out its welcome. You know what I mean? Like it's because we need something that's we want to hear for a while.
Right, and we'll be, yeah.
I'm at blogger.com right now. I'm signing up for a new blog, and it's called Mr. Podcast.
Ooh, in real time.
You know what's strange though is. I'm going to go Google Mr. Podcast and see if anybody uses that already.
Yeah, I know. I have an odd feeling someone will have taken it already. But you know what? There are other Lost Lowdowns, so...
No, there's not.
Welcome. Yeah, there are. Do a search for Lost Lowdown, man. There's other shit.
But they're not podcasts.
Well, yeah, there's blog, though.
They're blogs, but they're not podcasts.
All right, but, I'm just saying it's all.
You are just saying is all... Oh, there's somebody named Dave Slusher who it looks like this is saying he calls himself Mr. Podcast, but he's not there's no site. I haven't got any.
See, I hate that. That sucks. Hi, I'm Mr. Podcast.
Hi, Mr. Podcast.
Ugh.
That's bad.
God, what a tool.
Yeah.
Right, Anonymous.
How about I like Mr. Podcast, and we're gonna use that until we decide to change it. How about that?
Yeah, we are collectively Mr. Podcast.
Exactly.
Neither one
of us is Mr. Podcast.
Yeah, that's the key point, and that's what makes us better than that person.
Whoever that is.
I don't know who you are.
That's sort of what I meant too, but what I said.
I know. I threw it in like I was adding something.
Oh!
That's how I roll.
Somebody already has mrpodcast.blogspot.com.
Motherfucker.
Let's see who that is. I hope it's not that guy. Oh, well, it's not a site. It doesn't come up with a site, but someone has already registered it or something.
Oh.
So, do you want...
Can we just creatively, can we call it something else, but can we call it something slightly different? Like, how about, could we do Mr. Dash Podcast?
Yeah, we could do Mr. Dash. It suggested that we do Mr. Dash Podcast.
Yeah.
Or we could do... Can I do a period? You can't do a period. No.
You can't do a period because it's a dot and
it's like a different domain.
URL.
How about... Do you want to... You don't want to spell out Mr., do you? Nah, that's unavailable anyway, so don't even worry.
Okay.
Let's do Mr. Podcast. I actually don't think that's too bad. Mr.
No,
Dash.
dot won't work.
Dash.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I like Mr. Dash.
How about it'll be you're Mr. Dash.
Mrs. Dash husband.
So you're Mr. Dash, and then my name is Podcast.
Oh, okay. It's the Mr. Dash and Podcast show. Yeah, my wife, she makes spices.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've heard of her.
Maybe you've heard of her and tasted her delectable spices.
She doesn't use salt.
No, she doesn't. Although I think there's salt in her shit.
Zing.
Sorry, I have to. You know what I hate? I hate the that word verification stuff, especially on Blogger, because you can't tell what those letters are.
Oh man, I got it wrong one time, and I was like, "What the fuck?
Mhm.
How am I not able to read, letters?"
How can I not read letters? I spent all my life reading letters.
Of all the tasks I should be able to perform, given my wealth of education.
Oh, shut up!
think
Stop bragging. What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, that was
You
just
only-
me being an ass.
You only went to the #1 high school in the country. Currently.
Hey, you went there too, motherfucker.
Yeah, thanks. If you didn't say it, I was going to. So I now have to choose a template.
And just in case you were wondering, I'm kidding. I'm certainly not proud of my accomplishments.
Yeah. You're not proud of your accomplishments? I'm kidding. I'm not proud of my accomplishments. That's a weird thing to say. You can be proud of your accomplishments. You just can't brag
No.
about them.
No, I'm just not proud of them.
No, cool. Well, there's nothing to be proud about if you ask me.
Zing!
Okay, I chose a template. I don't know if this template's good, though.
I hope you didn't choose a nasty
The
one. like you
nasty
did with
one?
The Lost Lowdown.
Well, we should say the original Lost Lowdown template was horrible.
yeah, the one the one that's there now, I think is great. I love it. Every time I look at it, my eyes drink in the goodness.
Wow, nice
But-
personification there.
Thank you. But the original one, that nasty green.
It was the
and it was
nasty
just,
green.
It looked old fashioned. Like it looked like ugh.
All right.
I could ugh.
Okay, so why don't you go to? I don't know if you can go there yet. See if you can go to Mr. Dash Blogspot.
All right.
I'm just gonna do a test post because I think you have to have one post on there before it recognizes it as a thing, a site, a blog.
Let's see here, Mr. Oh, you mean it won't show up like blank?
Yeah.
Podcast.
It's just like Lost Lowdown, but it's different color scheme.
Oh, it came up. There it is.
Well, I
Yeah,
did a test.
there it
That's
is.
why.
Oh, that's pretty similar to the Lost Lowdown.
Did you not hear that I just said that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't.
I was like, it's just like Lost Lowdown, but a different color scheme. And then you go, it's similar to Lost Lowdown. Ugh.
I'm sorry. When I hear this, I'm gonna sound really.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I'm gonna kick myself in
Sorry.
the pants.
Oh, haha, the pants.
All right. Do you? I don't like that though. You know why? I hate when it like makes the thing lowercase and na. That was part of my argument for why I don't like
What
it.
was that? A little song at the end? Na 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 na
It
na.
was a little song, a little something from me to you. Okay.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, we can fuck with that. At least we got the domain.
Blogger has it looks like they have new templates up. How about this one?
You know,
go to huh?
I've noticed lately that Blogger blogs the last couple of days have been really slow to load at various times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's their issue or whatever, but I'm not happy about that.
Well, now I'm glad you were able to voice your opinion. So go there now. Go to Mr. Podcast and then refresh and then.
Whoa.
What do you think?
This is okay. I'm not quite crazy about this background color.
You think it?
this is okay.
What color do you want? I can change the color of the background.
It's just a little. I don't know what color I want. I find that color a little hard to look at.
What's the color of your eyes? No, I'm kidding. That would mean your eyes are hard to look at.
Well, I don't have to look at my eyes. So.
Oh, wow, good for you. Everyone else does.
Oh. Sing.
How about... This is a weird podcast.
Yeah, this is a really weird
Do you
podcast.
think anyone else out there has podcasted about the beginning of their podcast? Like, literally, people listening now are seeing the formulation of Mr. Show. I mean, Mr. Podcast.
Oh God, we wish.
Do you want
You know what?
Huh?
I bet someone has done it or something very similar.
Oh, that's because you're cynical.
You can't do anything for the first time. It's just, there are too many people, too many ideas floating around. I bet right
so
now
is what
someone
you're
else
saying
is
we
doing the same
we should
thing.
kill people? Is that? Did you just say that? Did you just imply that? There's too many people that we should go kill people. Did you just say that? It's on record. We're recording this. I think you just said we should kill people.
I didn't say
This
anything.
is turning into
but
like
yes.
a really bad movie with what's her name?
Sigourney Weaver,
No, she was busy.
Holly Hunter?
No, she was busy too.
Winona Ryder,
No, she didn't get cast.
Angelina Jolie,
The Texas girl.
Sissy Spacek,
No, black hair. Sandra
Renee Zellweger.
Sandra Bullock.
Oh God.
You know that movie with the kids? It's actually based on the same thing Rope was based on, the same story. With like people who
Speed,
No, Murder by Numbers.
Murder by Numbers.
Yeah.
Based on the same thing. What was based on?
Rope.
When?
When? What does that mean? When? When? I don't even know how to answer that question with what I said. When?
When? No. What I mean is, when did the movie come out?
Oh, I don't know. Like late 90s, early 2000s? I don't know.
That's all I wanted. With Sandra Bullock?
Yeah. It was like, I think it had Ryan Gosling in it too, the scary
Ew.
kid from, you know who that is?
No.
Why did you make that noise then?
No, I assumed he's someone that I should. But maybe not.
You saw that movie? I can't think of any movies right now. Stay. You saw that, right?
Yeah. Was he the lead?
He's the scary kid. Yeah, the main kid.
Okay.
I think he was in Murder by Numbers. Anyway, my point was
It was based on Rope.
no. Rope was a play that got turned into a movie that was based on a real life event, and Murder by Numbers is also based on that event.
Oh, so it's like Psycho and Silence of the Lambs. They were both based on the same real life event.
Thank you for bringing it home. You brought it home.
Ed Gein.
Oh yeah, exactly. But my real question about that would be, what template do you want?
Oh, wait, why were you talking about that?
I don't know. I was saying something was turning into Murder by Numbers. I was referencing Murder by Numbers. I don't know why though.
Oh, so when you were saying, so you're saying we should kill people or whatever, that was a reference?
yeah, exactly. That's why I said that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was making the joke that this is turning into Murder by Numbers or that type of thing.
That makes sense. I didn't even pick up on that.
What a horrible!
And then you.
What a horrible attempt at a joke.
It took me long enough to even figure out what you were talking about, and then oh god.
Okay. I'm changing templates. See if you like this one, Mister. I don't
have time to laugh anymore.
I don't like that color.
Well,
how about this one's the same thing, but
I think I like this. Well, I kind of don't like the gray. I like the gray better, but I'm not crazy about it. I like the red sort of maroonish.
I like that.
I don't know what to call that. That's nice, but the gray,
all right.
it's a little bit boring.
I really don't know.
But do whatever you want. I mean, don't listen to me. I don't know shit about visual, stuff.
Apparently not. Okay, well, I mean, how about for now we'll just go with how about this one? How about I think this one might be nice. I'm going to republish. Alright. One of the things we need to start doing is timing our podcasts so we know when to shut up and stop recording.
Oh, well, I'm watching the clock go by.
Well, do you know when we started? Oh, you know what? I forgot. Our little program that records tells us. So it's been 47 minutes.
Yeah. Which is pretty long, actually.
We should stop at an hour.
I'm surprised. Yeah, definitely. God, more than an hour of this. I mean, geez.
So there was some stuff we were going to talk about earlier. I mean, now that we have the name and we have the site, so it's Mr-podcast.blogspot.com, and so now that we have the site and all that, there were a couple things we were going to talk about, but we were like, hey, we should save it for the podcast. Do you remember what those were? Because I don't.
Oh God, I was just thinking when you said that. No, I don't really remember. Oh shit.
Oh, I was gonna tell the very interesting story about because I just bought some flip flops. That was one of the things.
Oh.
And
did you?
So right now I'm in South Padre Island. No, I guess it's sort of North Padre because I'm in I'm right near Corpus. So I guess I'm on Padre Island in any event, and I'm going to the beach tomorrow for my job. I'm going to be working at the beach, and people are going to be like, what does he do? He's not a lifeguard, because I'm not a lifeguard. And anyway, I don't want to wear my normal shoes because going to be in the sand and shit. So I was like, okay, I'll buy some flip flops, and I've never bought flip flops in my entire life, like ever. And apparently I told somebody that and they thought that was really strange, and I was like, is it? I'm like, it's not strange. I mean, it's not that strange. I just don't like wearing them, so why would I buy them? So long story short, I went to the store and I bought flip-flops.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that was podcast worthy, right?
I don't like flip-flops.
Oh, I hate them.
And I don't like beaches.
Well, I'll add it to the list of things you don't like.
And the sun. Don't like the sun.
Oh, there's not going to be sun at this beach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A sunless
Sunless beach. Well, it's by the makers of Sunless Tanning.
Oh, of course, of course.
I'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Mrs. Wiffle's.
Oh,
Mrs. Wiffle's Sunless Beach. When you want a beach, and a frozen kitchen, Mrs. Wiffle's Sunless Beach.
Can't read this damn copy.
I can't read this copy.
Oh God, I hope someone gets that.
I kind of hope they don't.
I hope a little of both. Actually,
1 and 2.
I just remembered one of the topics.
Oh, please enlighten me.
On your blog, your other blog.
Oh, I have I have another blog. What?
You have another blog.
Where can one find that blog?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to tell them or shall I?
I don't think I know.
All right. Well, I believe it's www.
You don't have to say the www.
I do.
Everyone knows it's www. Sorry, that was a reference from that home movies episode. Remember that thing I showed you?
Yeah, I thought you took that from something.
Yeah.
What? Home movies?
Yeah. Remember that cartoon comedy thing? Yeah, and they had that entire conversation.
Right.
It was really funny because later in the episode, the girl is trying to, the girl was the one who was telling Brandon, you don't have to say www. And he's like, well, how else are you going to know it's a website? And she goes, well, you say .com. And he's like, yeah, but you got to say www. Anyway, later in the episode, it was really funny. Like, she was trying to tell him something, and he wasn't getting it. She goes, let me put it in words you can understand. www dot, and then she just said whatever she had to say, and it was really funny. Because, I don't know, it was funny.
Right, so,
Yikes. We need like a laughter button so that when during the awkward silence I can press a button and have that fake laughter.
I'm sorry, I'll let you. Yeah, we really do. That'd be so good when we just say, because I thought it was funny at the time, but I just couldn't laugh again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've already seen it. It is funny, but I just thought I'd let you sit in it for just a second.
I know, and it just bombed. It's like I hear crickets now.
Because I didn't know how to segue out of it, so I figured I'll just wait a second and then come back. So anyway, the 3 W's. Anyway, the 3 W's, and then ClaudeMcIver.com/blog.
Oh, the 3 W's? I said but I didn't know what you meant by that. ClaudeMcIver.com/blogspot. And that would be MCIVER. Thank you.
Right. CLAUDEMCIVER.
Yeah.
That's how you spell it. And chant.
You have to chant. And, yeah. Anyway, on my little blog, I asked the question, what's the difference between alternative, in terms of music genres, between alternative rock, and just plain rock?
Right.
And you said you were going to enlighten me with your view.
Right.
Okay.
My thought. And in particular, you mentioned Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden.
Because I thought, Nirvana, correct me, Nirvana has to be alternative rock, right? Is there any question about that?
Yes, no, they are.
Okay.
I agree.
They
are alternative
my
rock.
point was, I thought Nirvana was definitely alternative rock, but then to me it seemed like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden would be rock, but they do have some alternative rock sort of sounds too. But I was like, well, they're rock, man. Especially I think Soundgarden is to me that's rock, but I don't know what I know. I don't know what's what.
Well,
and it's the fact that they're all
think...
from Seattle. I was like, well, they sort of came out of the same, musical, stew
landscape.
So I thought they should all be alternative rock, but I don't know.
Right. Well, my take on it personally, I think, Nirvana, I agree. They're alternative rock and borderline just alternative, I'd say.
Okay.
And I don't think I guess you could say they had some straightforward rock elements, but not really. I think even their most straightforward song has a weird thing about it that prevents it from being like a song you might hear in the 70s or something. But to me, Pearl Jam and Soundgarden have this thing where even though they did have sort of a new thing going on, they also had this almost classic rock kind of sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so both of them seem more like straightforward rock. Actually, Soundgarden kind of veers into progressive or prog rock territory.
Oh, God.
Because they use odd time signatures and, they make a little more complicated music than the other two. But I'd say those two are... But I think I would also call them alternative rock. I think maybe they're a borderline not, but I think they do fit in that category also.
Yeah, I would buy that. I would buy that they're on the edge there.
Yeah, so I see Nirvana over here alternative rock / alternative, and them sort of rock / alternative rock.
Okay, so a band like REM would be what, alternative?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
REM is because they just aren't rocking.
They don't rock. What is rock? Is it just like heavy guitar or something? What's rock?
I guess it is to me. Technically, I guess REM would be rock, but as far as I'm concerned, they have to have a harder, heavier element to be rock. That's just my personal opinion, I guess. But I think technically, you would have to classify REM as rock if you were, forced to, because they adhere to the forms.
On Wikipedia, they call REM alternative. Well, actually, alternative and alternative rock, I think this Wikipedia entry is classifying it as the same.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Most alternative music was pretty much rock, so...
Yeah.
They kind of went together. I didn't, there were a few alternative, other types of music.
Well,
but,
give me a band that is definitely alternative. Not alternative rock, but, alternative.
When I think alternative, I think,
311. That was a joke.
Yeah, I know. Let me think.
Ding, 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 the thinking song, the thinking song.
Throw me for a loop.
Ding, 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 the thinking song, the thinking song.
Damn. Now I'm hard pressed. Oh god. I need more thinking song.
Think, 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 the thinking song, the thinking song. Think, 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 the thinking song, the thinking song.
I can't think during the
I know,
thinking
you're
song.
too
I'm
busy laughing at the thinking song to think. Now I gotta say, laughing song, laughing song, laughing song. I mean, like. How about,
I'm having a hard time thinking of a band, just period. So.
what's Third Eye Blind?
Oh. Third Eye Blind would be alternative/alternative rock.
It's
they had a rockin'
element. It's a very
element.
blurry line. It really is.
They had some pseudo heavy songs. They didn't get too hard, but they got hard enough for me to call it rock.
How about?
Because to me, like, there's a lot. You know, rock can be fairly sort of middle of the road. Once you get to a certain point, you become like hard rock or metal or heavy metal or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, there's a line there where you're too heavy to, you know, to just be rock. And I think Third Eye Blind is hard enough for rock, but certainly not for hard rock or anything.
What
like
about? Okay, Dave Matthews Band is what?
Dave Matthews Band? Ooh boy.
Ooh boy.
They are, well, these days they're pretty much pop rock.
Yeah.
Adult contemporary. The old stuff, you know, it's a mix of things.
Yeah.
You know, they have a bit of a rock element, they have a funk element, they have a jazz element, and they have sort of a folky element.
To me, I always thought too that when you put like multiple styles together, that sort of means you're alternative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you don't, like if you've got funk, you've got jazz, you've got rock, that means you're going in the alternative, pretty much the alternative rock category. And they've always been sort of whatever / pop. You know?
They were played on the alternative rock stations.
Yeah.
Or the alternative stations. So, you know, I mean, these days, really, the whole alternative thing is kind of dead.
Yeah.
But back in the early 90s, the good old days.
Actually, according to Wikipedia, not that they know everything, but they do, alternative rock has made a resurgence with indie rock and post-punk artists such as Modest Mouse and Franz Ferdinand, respectively.
But I don't think, to me, they're a different thing. That's indies. That's not. To me, alternative rock was specific to its time. I really don't think it can come. All it can come back as is homage. And to me, those people don't sound like the alternative rock of the early '90s. They have their own thing.
Yeah, I agree. But I think, I mean, that's the thing. I think I said on my blog too that, like, you know, you can call a band indie rock, but I mean, once they are played on the top 40 or top 20 countdown, calling them indie is weird.
Well, but that's what people said about alternative. You know, they would say, well, the reason it was called alternative originally is because it was an alternative to what was popular, and then it became popular, and then it was like, well, you shouldn't call it that anymore, but they did anyway. And I think it's the same thing with indie stuff. You know, it has a particular
but that's
sound.
The thing. Then what do you call real indie music? I mean, if what's being played on the radio that's popular and selling millions of albums is called indie because that's where the band's roots were, then what do you call the people who are playing club shows and have, like, you know, 1,000 fans in the whole country? You know, like, I mean, it's.
I would call them like local bands. To me, it's they. I mean,
but they are a local band, but what is their type of music? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
local band rock. I mean, no.
No. I mean, I wouldn't call them indie unless, to me, I don't consider indie to be a particular, you know, a label about popular. To me, it's indicative of a particular sound.
Yeah.
There's a style that it just so happened a lot of bands that, you know, maybe were originally sort of indie oriented had this particular sound. And really, you know, for alternative rock that was the case too. I mean, most of those bands started off on indie labels.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all of a sudden it took off and the major labels couldn't sign enough of those bands of that type. And I think that's what's happening now. There's this particular, to me it's sort of like a garage band kind of sound. Like it's dirty and sort of kind of unpolished sounding. and I guess that sound comes from not having a lot of money to do the stuff, and then it becomes an aesthetic itself, and I think that that sort of style is what I call indie. Even if it's popular, it's about the sound, not the popularity.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What'd you say? No. Well, yeah. Okay, I'm on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia claims
You can't pull that during a
I know.
podcast.
Wikipedia claims indie rock is a genre of alternative rock.
Yeah, see, I'll buy that, but no.
What do you mean? But no.
I disagree, but I'll accept it.
Why do you disagree?
I put alternative rock. To me, alternative rock has a more specific meaning than they're giving it. I think it really belongs to the 90s rock.
That's just because you
bands.
don't. Yeah, you want to keep your band special. Oh, don't.
No, that's really not it. It's because they had a particular style that's very different from what any people are doing now, and so I just don't see
Is it that different?
I don't feel like that label applies anymore. I think it is. Maybe I'm crazy.
Well,
I don't hear bands today sounding like the bands used to sound.
I agree with everything because I have lost interest in this conversation. No, I totally agree. To a certain extent. But okay, my point was.
I'm willing to allow alternative rock to have a wider meaning that encompasses indie rock. I think that's fair too. It's just not the usage I prefer.
So what's rock? So rock is like.
Rock can be, rock can include a lot more. It can include some of those bands, some of the alternative rock bands who have, more straightforward leanings, and also like, more classic rock bands like, AC/DC and
Yeah.
Led
Well, to me, that's
Zeppelin
classic
and-
rock.
But it's rock too. I mean, it's classic rock because it's old, but I think that it's sort of straightforward rock. I think that's the right category to put it in. For a modern band that has sort of a straightforward rock sound.
So you want to give classic rock as a genre of rock because it's specific to a time, but you don't want to give indie rock a category with alternative rock.
Now, I never said I was consistent.
Yeah, and I'm asking why aren't you?
Well, I don't have a good answer to that. Okay, so maybe classic rock has to, but okay. To me, it's simultaneously classic rock and rock itself.
Because I mean, you have bands today who do the sort of homage rock or whatever that, like, they sound like I don't know, the Strokes or whoever. They sound like a '70s band, but they're not.
I think rock is a universal label that isn't tied to a time period like alternative rock is, at least to me. And I think indie rock might turn out to be that way as well, where it's tied to, like psychedelic rock, like that was sort of a 60s thing. I think there's certain things that are tied to certain periods. But to me, rock music, it's all encompassing. I think it's a label that can be applied widely.
Do you think
I don't
rock
think
is
it
the
needs
same
to
as
be
rock
tied.
and roll?
Yeah, I think it's short for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just wondering.
yeah.
I
I mean, no one says and roll anymore, but
Well, I'm just hey,
yeah.
I don't know what you think. For all I know, you might think rock and roll is specific for the 50s or 60s or whatever it was invented and all that good stuff. I don't know.
No.
Just wondering.
No, I mean, I think it's just one of those things where people shorten the name, but it still means the same thing. And the music's changed a lot, obviously. If you listen to 50s rock, it was not so rockin', but
Hey, he ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time, man. If I ever heard a rock song. Okay, can we move on? I really have lost interest. I think you answered my question, and
I did. I have a lot to say about that topic, and I guess you don't.
no, I don't. Don't.
So yeah. Anyway, that's.
I am
that's
I am
fine.
interested to find out. There's a category of music called math rock.
I did get to answer your question though. Oh yeah, math rock. Math rock is essentially the new prog rock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's basically modern bands doing prog rock.
Well, this said it
and they
came
call
out
it
in the
math
80s.
rock. Yeah, whatever.
How's
bullshit.
it the new when it came out in the 80s?
Well, I disagree.
Okay.
The bands that I've heard about who are math rock are more recent than that. Maybe 90s, but not 80s.
Well, this said late 80s.
Yeah, okay. Maybe the first math rock band came out then, but yeah, I think Soundgarden almost veered into that territory. They're Tool math rock. They do that. They're all about that.
They claim Genesis was
Genesis, yeah, some of their early stuff. Their work that was arty and pretentious.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Desmond. I mean, what's his name? Bateman. Patrick
Their later
Bateman.
albums
Thank
were
you.
more satisfying in a narrower way. Yeah, you're welcome.
So we're done with this podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. We've hit an hour, and if we keep going,
Ugh.
we're just gonna die. I wish we could hit a topic you had some interest in.
That'd be
I feel
awesome.
like I've just been dominating the discussion.
I'd love
here.
to actually talk about something I was interested in.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything you're?
I bought an iPod.
Oh yeah. How's that going?
Oh, now you don't give a shit. It's going great. Can I just take 30 seconds to rant, okay? Feel free to talk, but
Please.
if you don't care, I'm just gonna rant. I love my iPod. It cost me
Might just
$3.99
talk in the
plus
background.
tax. I got the big 60 gig version, white.
That's $399.
White, crystal clean white iPod, and it's my first iPod. I was reluctant to join the bandwagon because it wasn't that big a deal for me to have a big music player, and B, I usually never have however much hundreds of dollars to spend on a music player. So yeah, but anyway, it's pretty much perfect. It plays video, and what's great is that the screen is obviously relatively small, so you can put some low resolution stuff on there, and it still looks great. But what you can also do is put higher resolution video on there, so if you want to put it on a television, it'll look good. So now you can sort of walk around with your movies, and I put some episodes of home movies on there, and you put it on the TV, and it looks great. There's no real problem. So I'm gonna
Episodes of home movies.
Huh? the TV show,
Episode-
the TV show Home Movies, the cartoon show that we
What's-
talked about earlier.
Oh, that's what that's
Called Home
called.
Movies.
Okay, sorry.
And it's actually a really, really funny show. I'm going to go watch some later. But I might start a podcast about that. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, I love my iPod, but I'll probably fall out of love with it in a couple weeks because I'm one of those people who I just like what's new. So when it gets
Right.
old, I'm like, oh God, I broke my iPod. Who cares?
And the new generation iPod's coming out next week.
Oh
so,
God, I think it's already out. But no, what
I've already.
what I'm gonna do, which I have to do soon, is buy a replacement plan. Places like Circuit City, Best Buy does not have a replacement policy for their iPods. Their higher end iPods. They only have service warranty. So if something breaks, something goes wrong, you bring it in and they'll ship it off somewhere, or they'll try to fix it in store, but they won't give you a new one. And what's cool about a replacement warranty is that, for those who care, is that you walk in, your iPod's broken. They don't necessarily give you another iPod. They give you a gift card in the amount that you paid, and these are usually 1 or 2 year replacement warranties. And the one at Circuit City that I'm going to buy is because you have 15 days to buy it within your purchase. I'm going to go back tomorrow or something.
Circuit City is
Circuit
great.
City's great. But what's cool is it's a 2-year warranty, so a year or two from now, I can walk in, and of course they'll have a new iPod by then. I can walk in and say, hey, my iPod's broken, or it actually might be really broken. And they'll say, okay, here's $3.99 plus tax on the gift card, and I can just go buy whatever I want in the store or buy the next generation iPod. So for $60, because it's $60 for the warranty, and then it's $100 for a warranty that covers everything, including accidental damage. It's like a little insurance policy. It's like an investment. It's like I can pay $500 now plus the $100 or $60 warranty, which ensures me that I can buy something later that's worth that same $500. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's a great plan. I bought my TV at Circuit City, and I got that thing, and they just like, if something goes wrong, bring it in. Boom.
I know, boom,
and
the money you spend on that TV will buy a better TV years from now. So
yeah, it's great. It almost makes me want to break
dude,
it.
break the shit out of that thing.
Yeah,
maybe I
kind of don't want it.
I can throw my iPod at it.
Yeah, we can kill two birds
with one iPod.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my little rant. I love my iPod as of now. I'm sure later in another podcast I'll talk about how I hate it. It's too small, or I broke it, or the screen got scratched, or
it's too easy to use.
It's too easy to use and too beautiful to look at, or something. The other thing we have to do, we don't have to do it now because we should end this podcast, but we should come up with a closing. Should we come up with a closing, or that's pretty...
Shouldn't we go for 6 hours? Come on, man. Let's do it again.
No. Should we come up with a closing, or we should just say bye?
No.
I think we should say bye.
Yeah, no. The closing works for Lost, but for Mr. Podcast, I mean, come on. What are we going to do?
What did they do on Mr. Show?
They didn't have a standard closing. They did different shit every
That's
show.
What we should do. We should do different closing.
Okay.
We should do, like, a different random crazy closing.
Yeah, okay.
Like, Justin, put your pants on. And stop eating tomatoes. Sorry, it's a official Lost podcast reference. How about
you go first, Damon.
I know. But you just went first. I can't think of anything to close it that's crazy.
There are regular Abbott and Costello those too.
What's a crazy closer? That's a weird thing to say. Crazy closer. It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad.
What's a crazy closer?
What's a crazy closer?
The thinking song, thinking, the thinking song.
It's a thinking song today. Think to the song.
Dude, we should end it right there. How about this? Here we go. Bye, bye, the bye-bye song. Bye, bye, the bye-bye song.
Bye.
Okay, that's totally the end of our podcast.